p.m. We'll have our invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Heavenly Father, thank you for our gathering here on this evening. We pray, oh God, that this chamber will be your sanctuary, that your spirit will fill this place, and that our mind will be filled with your thoughts, that our mouths will be filled with your words, that our hearts will be filled with your spirit as we conduct business today on behalf of the city of Lynn Haven. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, City Manager, if you'll read the announcement regarding the runoff election results.
Vote by mail, Jeff Snyder, 185, Judy Tender, 260. Early voting, Jeff Snyder, 528, Judy Tender, 577. Election day, Jeff Snyder, 375, Judy Tender, 319. Percentage of vote, Jeff Snyder, 48.48%, Judy Tender, 51.52%. Total votes, 1,088, Jeff Snyder, 1,156, Judy Tender. These are the official numbers from the supervisor of election.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to accept these results?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion and second. Comments from the public. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Parnell,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion pass. This time we'll have the swearing in of Commissioner-elect Judy Tender, administering the oath of office. Our city attorney, Ms. Amy Myers.
I'm going to cheat too. I, Judy Tender, do solemnly swear.
That I will,
Repeat after me.
okay, I, Judy Tender, do solemnly swear
That I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States
the Constitution and government of the United States
and of the state of Florida
and of the state of Florida
against its enemies, domestic or foreign,
against its enemies, domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear
and that I will bear
faith, loyalty, and allegiance under the same,
faith, loyalty, and allegiance under the same,
that I am entitled to hold office under the Constitution,
that I'm entitled to hold office
and that I will faithfully perform all duties
and that I will faithfully perform all duties
of the office of Commissioner Seat 4
of Commissioner Seat 4
of the city of Lynn Haven, Florida,
of the city of Florida,
of which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
This time we'll have our public commentary. Starting with Mr. Zach.
Good evening, Commission. I want to welcome back Jamie and Judy. Congratulations on your wins. I want to start out with a little story about myself. I learned a lot from my dad. And, you know, one of the lessons that I learned early on, about 9 years old, is my dad started saying should and should not versus could and could not. And that is because he wanted to teach me about consequences. Well, one of these days, me being a rebel, guess what I did? I went ahead and did one of the things I should not. I thought he was going to be mad. He comes up to me and goes, "No, sir, I'm not going to be mad today. I'm going to teach you a lesson as an adult and as a man." Well, I said, "All right, what are these lessons?" He goes, "Well, consequences can happen at any time. You don't know what they're going to be. If you did something bad, there are going to be bad consequences. You could win a first place trophy, but guess what? Your consequence is going to be that someone else only won second place, and you took that first place from them. He said the lesson that you're going to learn as a man, though, is that not all consequences happen immediately. Sometimes they take weeks, sometimes they take months, and sometimes they take years. This city, for a long time after Hurricane Michael, has been, unfortunately, managed by politicians and city management that has otherwise intimidated, coerced, and forced both the city and these residents to live under tyranny. Well, today, I would like to announce this filing right here that I'll be giving to the city clerk immediately will be to form the political committee to recall Mayor Nelson. We are absolutely sick and tired of the negligence and gross incompetence you show on a daily basis up behind that microphone. We are tired of being picked on, we are tired of being abused, and most frankly, we are tired of the lies and hidden secrets that come at the management of Vicki Gaynor and Jesse Nelson. So, with these, I do encourage every resident of the city of Lynn Haven to go on Facebook and find Recall Mayor Nelson, and to also go to our website, lynnhavenrecall.com, because we are going to be dropping a library of whistleblowers, FBI documents, the whole 9 yards on what really happened behind everything. And I do want to warn everybody, there are eyes everywhere. They haven't stopped watching. Be cautious, because you don't know when consequences may come. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Rich Walker.
Good evening. I'm going to make sure people say can't hear it. The city just finished an election which included 3 non-binding resolutions. It doesn't seem comprehensible that the elected officials could not come to a decision on how to proceed in choosing a solution to the proposed media center library replacement. The property was chosen, architecture drawings purchased, published, infrastructure approved, and that's where we ended it. Insurance money was obligated, sort of, and no action except discussions and kicking the ideas down the road. The 2 non-binding resolutions, haphazardly written up with the caveats, if you voted in favor of the question, you would incur higher taxes and unknown costs. For my 25 years in Lynn Haven, citizens have paid insurance premiums on the replacement for the 2nd generation of the Lynn Haven Library. Please note, I do not use the term public. It was not. Its predecessor, the McMullen Public Library, inclusive of being a member of the Northwest Library Federation, was cost-free to the community and the city. In fact, it still carried on the budget. Lynn Haven Library, with 2 employees, salary providing, to other branches of the government. The commissioners cannot and will not make a decision on the issue of the library. According to the question number 1 on the referendum, if you voted yes, you would incur higher taxes. In today's economy, you don't have to be smart to answer that no vote that occurred. If you voted yes on question 2, of course, you will surely get a positive yes, but you will not get an answer to what satellite branch, what the city building will be disrupted to facilitate the possible satellite library. The question that should be asked are what the alternatives the commissioners did have concerning the different approaches. What happened to the $1.9 million insurance slant FEMA money, $8 million still forthcoming from FEMA, dedicated to the replacement of the library? What tasks have the 2 employees carried on the books as the library staff? Keep in mind, the commissioners were offered the original McMullen Library, to which the city was given free, debt-free, a member of the Federation, its books, 8,000, its treasury, its land, which is now a dysfunctional, fancy-colored light pond, and building. This plus 2 other options were refused. The city has no plan, no money, no idea what to do, and in 2 or 3 years, we'll be facing a debt service that nobody wants to identify with. They still have to decide. They have to make a decision. The referendums were not binding. About time you make a decision on this. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bernie Thompson.
Hello, I'm Bernie Thompson, and I'm here to talk about a public record request again. And last time was a teachable moment, Mr. Mayor. We learned that public record requests can be spoken, right?
No, I didn't say it couldn't be verbal. I asked you to email it so that we could know where to send it back to and specifically what you wanted.
Well, Dr. Nelson, the word verbal can be oral or written. Look it up. Okay? So it can be written or it can be oral. Verbal is either.
I know it
But
can
nice
be.
try. Okay. So a spoken public record request does not need to be written. So we've established that.
Hold on. Let's clarify. I didn't say that it couldn't be verbal. I asked you to submit it in writing.
This
so
is
it
why
could
you're
be-
being recalled right here.
So it could be clarified on what you wanted.
You said it had to be in writing.
Yes.
How about just say I learned, Mr. Thompson? You taught me one thing out of all these years and everything else you were wrong. You could say that. And I'd say, can't argue that one. But this one, you were wrong. And leadership means you would accept that. So now everybody knows that a spoken public record request, and Ms. Myers knows because we've done this since 2016. Good. But my question is for the response I got back from City Manager Gaynor. She sent an email to all of you, and it said that I had demanded my public records immediately. Read that. All four of you know that's not true. My email was Miss City Manager and please and thank you. And the email was sent on Wednesday morning at 8 a.m., April 31st, after more than a week where I didn't think that I had a response, but I did have a response. The city sent me a response and asked me exactly what it is that I wanted. I missed it. But after I saw it, the email that Ms. Gaynor sent to the four of you, you know, was less than true. It was mendacious. There's another one, Dr. Nelson, for you to look up, mendacious. She claims that I sent that email on Saturday, May the 3rd. Today I got the email. The city sent it to me. It clearly states April 31st. But here's the issue. Some of the stuff that Ms. Gaynor sent back were PDF files, Adobe PDF files, and they were really weird. The background was transparent, and there are some that indicate that my email sent on Wednesday, April 31st, was sent on Saturday, May the 3rd. I don't believe those documents are true and correct. So today my spoken public record request is for the metadata for the images that she sent me. And if that doesn't work, I can always come in person and inspect it. Whatever's best for you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Jerry Parker.
Good evening, Commission. I'm going to speak on something that's happened right after the hurricane. The finance director after the hurricane, or before even, was Beverly Waldrop. I'm going to read a few snippets from her testimony, just to give the citizens of Lynn Haven an idea of the corruption that still exists in this administration. Fraudulent signing of a check. Owner of ECS came in. Michael White told me to pay invoices for $245,000 with a counter check. AP processing was being done remotely by the software company since we had no way to print checks. 2 signatures are required on the checks, the city managers and the mayor. I told Michael that we could not give ECS a check that day because the mayor was out of town, and it was too late in the day for the bank signatures to initiate an electronic transfer. I was told to fill out a manual check. Vicki Gaynor signed the mayor's signature on the check and attached a memo to the invoice saying that she had gotten permission from the mayor for payment. It was flagged and sent to the bank representative since the mayor's signature did not match. The amount was substantial and it was a counter check. I relayed to the mayor that a letter of approval from her would be required in order to keep the check from being returned. That's one of them. Illegal bonus payments. Michael White instructed the accounting technician to withdraw enough cash to give each employee 2 $100 bills and one $50 bill to be distributed as Christmas bonus at the planned Christmas party. Michael White did not want the bonuses to be paid through payroll or to have taxes withheld. It was $41,000. She reported, so there was $250 enclosed and gave the envelopes to Vicki Gaynor as instructed. I reported to Jay Moody that we were legally required to report the bonuses as income and to withhold taxes. Jay Moody advised Michael White that the bonuses plus related taxes would have to be manually included as employee income. Fraudulent signing of checks. The police chief asked for 3 bank accounts to be opened for deposit of different types of forfeited funds. The authorized check signers were Vicki Gaynor and the police chief. A police officer requested a manual check written to cash for drug buys on 2 separate occasions. The police chief was out of town, unable to sign the checks. Vicki Gaynor said she would have someone else sign for him. I advised against this. Vicki Gaynor proceeded with having someone else sign the checks. They were both flagged and sent to our bank representative. The bank representative called about the checks, and I referred to Vicki Gaynor to obtain written approval for the improperly signed checks.
Thank you.
This, my friends,
Thank you.
is the
That's your time.
corruption that exists in this administration.
All right, thank
Good
you.
citizens of Lynn Haven, take note.
Call to order. Thank you. All right, Mr. Corey Langford.
Good evening, Commissioners. I just wanted to come up tonight. I know tonight's the final reading of the RV ordinance, and I just wanted to say thank you to all of you who listened to the public, who came up and spoke as to what they wanted in the city of Lynn Haven. You all have made some adjustments to that ordinance to reflect the wishes of the public, and I just wanted to come up and say thank you for that. That's the way it should work. I know I spoke with, I believe, every one of the, except for Ms. Tender, you weren't on the commission at that time, but about this, and everyone was nothing but receptive on that. So thank you. That's how it should work. So thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary. All right. Moving on now to the mayor's report. We're going to have a proclamation presented for National Safe Boating Week, whereas Florida leads the nation with 700 reported boating-related accidents, in excess of 300 more than the number 2 state of California, and these accidents resulted in 65 fatalities. And whereas during National Safe Boating Week, the U.S. Coast Guard and its federal, state, and local safe boating partners encourage all boaters to explore and enjoy America's beautiful waters responsibly by following basic boating safety procedures, like ensuring everyone on board is wearing life jackets that are U.S. Coast Guard approved, appropriate for your water activity, and fits properly. Remember, kids don't float. Rules and laws can differ from state to state, and violations can result in ticketing, fines, or jail time. Visit the cgaux.org website to attend a safety boating course and participate in free boat safety checks. There are many items that need to be checked and rechecked on any boat. Schedule a vessel safety check with your local U.S. Coast Guard auxiliary or U.S. Power squadrons before you hit the water. Every vessel safety check is conducted 100% free of charge. Make a float plan and always let someone on shore know your trip itinerary. Know the latest and up-to-date marine weather forecast prior to going out. Never operate a boat under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and always designate a sober skipper. Be aware of deadly carbon monoxide poisoning, a colorless and odorless gas. Be sure to have and to know how to at least 2 weatherproof communication devices, such as satellite phones, emergency position indicating radio beacons, VHF radios, and personal locator beacons, and use the mandatory cutoff switch. Now, therefore, we support the goals of the Safe Boating Campaign and urge all those who boat to practice safe boating habits and wear a life jacket at all times while boating. and by the virtue and authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Lynn Haven, and on behalf of the commission and all citizens, do hereby declare May 17th through 23rd, 2025 as National Safe Boating Week. And we have a representative here to receive this proclamation.
Mayor Nelson and the Commission, on behalf of the United States Coast Guard and the Coast Guard Auxiliary and our other partners, I would like to thank you for once again encouraging the public to be safe while they're on our waterways. We're very blessed in this area with beautiful coastline, beautiful waters, and just recreation galore. But you know, even one tragedy is one tragedy too many, and we've had recent instances, some not so good years in the past. So reminding the public about boating safety and the resources that are available in order to make them safer boaters and come home at night with nothing but good memories is something that we can all aspire to. Thank you for your support. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Peebles.
Thank you, thank you, Mayor. Thank you I want to say thank you to everyone that has put their name in, Mr. Langford, and for everybody that has been part of our boards. I was greatly appreciated for you guys and gals to volunteer your time to help the commission. It helps a lot, and it doesn't go unnoticed. Welcome back, Commissioner Tender. Welcome back. I was just telling her earlier, it's kind of cool. We got everyone up here has at least 2 years left. And so I feel like we can work together and get some things done. So looking forward to working together with everybody up here to make help Lynn Haven be the premier city of Bay County. I also wanted to thank the volunteer coaches, the umpires, and the staff for a successful ball season. I believe it's playoff week for most leagues right now. And I had a ton of fun with my children playing for the first time this year. They learned a lot, and yeah, it was great. And I also had my coffee meeting this past week. Thanks you for those that came out. It's always great to sit down, have a cup of coffee. And if you have a coffee shop and you want me to meet there, reach out to me. I want to move around so we can check out all the coffee spots too. So with that, that's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Pardo.
Mayor, I echo your sentiments, Commissioner Peebles, and welcome back, Miss Judy. Yes, ma'am. I just, on behalf of a citizen I spoke to this past week, the library funds of $1.9 million, are they secured somewhere else other than the disaster fund?
They are actually secured in general fund.
General fund?
Yes.
I just.
And that one, it was 1.6 plus 300,000 made it 1.9. We've taken care of the infrastructure, that included the infrastructure of the building as well. So remember, we've done the infrastructure for that side, so it's 1.6.
Okay. And the other question on behalf of this person is, and for my sake, when are we going to have the workshop on the? We had spoke about doing a workshop on this building on the
July the 9th. That's when we do our strategic planning.
We're going to do the workshop for that at the same time?
Yes, sir. The public will be invited. Anyone can come to that.
Isn't that strategic planning like an all-day thing?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay.
And it'll be online. Yes, sir.
At some point, that's going to be a topic along the way.
Absolutely.
And thank you to everybody. Appreciate y'all. Anytime we see people that are coming and caring about our city enough to be in the seats and tell us what you think, or even just be here at a meeting, I personally am very appreciative of that. So whether it be, to fight against the city or not, it's your voices are heard, and it's much appreciated up here. And thank you to all our city employees and our first responders. And I'll end it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Perno. Commissioner Ward?
Don't have a whole lot. Yeah, thank you for everyone coming out. Always appreciate your feedback. This Saturday, I had my time with the commissioner. Had 3 people came out. We had some good conversation, but always know my door is always open. You ever want to call me, my number is 850-391-1217. I'd be more than happy to talk to you on the phone or meet you wherever you feel most comfortable at. So always feel free to reach out to me. This weekend was Memorial Day weekend. I know a lot of people, they think it's a time for celebration. It's actually a time for mourning for our veterans that sacrificed their life to protect our freedoms. So what I did is I went to Kent Forest Lawn on Monday. I try to do that every year. And if you've ever been to it, it's a great ceremony to remember our veterans. So think about that next year. If you've never been to it, I encourage you to go. And last I have is welcome Commissioner Tinder. It's like deja vu. It's like you were here about a couple of years ago. So welcome back.
And Commissioner Tinder?
Thank you. I have a few different things. The one being, while I was campaigning, I paid a couple of visits to the senior center. And one of their wishes was to have the mailbox put back on the property, where they can put their mail in it, feel safe, and know that they don't like leaving it in their mailbox at home. And I know we used to have one right outside this building, and I just wanted to ask, is there an issue with having it put back?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I've already talked to the head person down here in Lynn Haven. She was going to rush it right out that afternoon. I said, hold it, I should maybe ask somebody before we start dropping these things. But if we can make that happen, I'll be happy to make the call if you want me to. But they would really appreciate that, I know. I received an email today about the item that we're going to vote on tonight. And I'm glad that, I don't even know how he knew how to get a hold of me, but he did. And of course, I wrote him back and said, thank you so much. I'm here to represent the people. And the more the people contact me, the more they get in my face and tell me what they want, the better I can represent everybody. The other thing I had an employee complaint, and he gave me a letter. I know he's addressed you already because this letter had your name on it and whatnot. I didn't know if Jennifer dealt with those things or what, but I do want to follow up to make sure somebody's done something about that. I think those are basically the things that I wanted to touch base on tonight. And poor Kiki. Kiki, I always have questions about the warrant list, so I didn't know if I should call you this morning and give you a heads up, but I think my questions tonight are pretty easy. I really want to represent the people with the facts. I want us to be transparent. And if that's not good, then that's what we have to do. But I think the truth is more important. And I know you can always count on it from me, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager?
Thank you. So we just absolutely want to say congratulations again to North Bay Haven softball team. They came in runner-up, but they did a really great job, and we're very proud of them.
It was a great game. We streamed it at Beef O'Brady's. It was cool.
Pretty cool, yes. Our first volleyball camp is taking place this week. We haven't done one of those in a while. And actually, all of our activities have kicked off really well. We have our summer Kickball and adult softball teams are ready and full to go. If you've not attended the adult kickball and softball games, you're in for a treat. So I encourage you to come out and do that. And then again, this year, it is time for our all-star teams. We have some good all-star teams going to Mississippi, 10, 12, 16 for baseball, 8, 10, 14 for softball. East versus West is June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And believe it or not, fall ball registration has already opened up. So it's a never-ending story, but it's a great story because there's so many youth involved in all our programs. And Mayor, and Commissioner Perner setting up our third meeting with the county on the wastewater plant. I know you're probably going to ask about that, to discuss some options, see how we move forward in terms of the feasibility, and what we can utilize on their end with their contractor. So we have a third meeting set up. And that's my report. Kiki.
Good evening. Questions about the warrant list?
Yes. I'm checking on this South Green or Green South Solutions for $64,000. I'm getting complaints that these trucks run up and down Tennessee Avenue constantly. What are they for, or what are they doing?
That's the sludge removal from the sewer plant to the waste facility.
Okay, that makes sense. And then somebody answered this one for me earlier. I'll just double check with you. The integrity for $229,000. They said that, or this person thought it was a grant for Florida Avenue project.
This is the 10th Street project and the Minnesota and Mosley project. And that is a grant program.
Mm-hmm.
There are consultants on that grant, and they bill us a percentage of the grant.
Oh, okay. And is that a monthly payment?
No, this actually covers almost 2 years worth of bills.
Mm-hmm.
So 229.
2 years worth of bills.
Okay, that's 2 years, okay. And paving is C.W. Roberts, is that correct, for $152,000?
That's the water well number 3.
Okay. And I only have one more question. I think this falls under your purview.
Right.
Do we still, and I'm asking this because I really don't know, do we still give out COLA and merit raises every year?
Since I have been here, there have been COLAs.
Okay.
Merit raises, I budget money for merit each year, and then the city manager at her discretion applies that.
Does the merit? Okay.
Yes. But the COLA is consistent for all employees.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
All right, thank you. City Attorney? All right, moving on to our consent agenda, approval of minutes for 5/13/25 regular meeting minutes, and approval to appoint Mr. Corey Langford to the Infrastructure Tax Oversight Committee as recommended by Commissioner Ward. Is there a motion for this?
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Peebles, second by Commissioner Perno. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Old business, final reading of ordinance number 1177, amending the Unified Land Development Code for specific parking requirements for major recreational vehicles and equipment. City Manager, if you read this by title.
An ordinance of the City Commission of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending the Unified Land Development Code to modify the parking standards for recreational vehicles on residential property, repealing all ordinance and here conflict, providing for an codification, and providing for an effective date.
All right, thank you. Any comments, City Attorney?
I just want to point out that this ordinance does apply only to recreational vehicles, not to all major recreational equipment. Since your last reading of the ordinance, I have included the word side yard based on the comments y'all gave at the first reading. So this ordinance would permit RVs to be parked entirely within a backyard, side yard, or the driveway of the owner's residence, so long as it is not in any portion of any public right-of-way.
Okay. Are there any additional comments?
Yes, Mayor, if I may, I just want to or just speak to the commission. Are we okay with the driveway thing? Are we okay with not allowing or allowing the RVs in the driveway as long as they're not in the right of way? I just wanted to go around the table or just.
May I speak, Mayor?
Yes.
When it comes to this particular ordinance, Pat, I feel that if I had paid $170,000 for an RV and then I got it home and found out I couldn't park it on my property, I would be, they either have to go rent someplace or make other arrangements or whatever. I feel like I love these changes that have been made because it eliminates the government overreach, telling us what we can do in our own yard. And I have to say, I chuckled because it reminded me of the ordinance where we were going to make people pay to have a party at their house. But I think it's, as long as they're not impeding traffic, I have a neighbor who had one in their front yard for years and years.
Well, we kind of overcame the triangle site, but the last time we were talking about this, we got into the like, okay, if it's in their driveway and code enforcement has to come out and we're busting out the calipers on the city right of way. And then they were talking, there was mention of, well, it's going to cost the city to survey every single time if somebody contests, that no, my RV's not in the driveway, or not in the right of way, and then they'll say yes, it is, and they'll say prove it, and it will come at a cost to the city. We asked the city attorney that, so I just want to make sure that we're okay with going forward with this, but knowing that it's going to cost the city money in the future. So just want to have a little hash out here just so we get it out of the way.
Well, on that same note, if I may, I hear that, and it is a concern, but it was very clear to me that the citizens want this. So my opinion would be that, just like any other ordinance, we can always modify it later. So if it's a huge burden on the city, maybe we look at, okay, now adding a budget item to take care of this stuff happening later. Does that mean that money's obviously got to come from somewhere? So we'll have to have hard conversations. And I know it'll be difficult on the code enforcement and the police. So this could be one of those things where we try it out for a year. And if it's too much of a burden, then we can modify it then on a by trial basis. Of course, me personally, Sam Peebles, as a citizen, I would just say, yeah, this is great, but I also want to listen to the citizens. I want to listen to the concerns of the city. And I think that as it stands now, my opinion is I would vote yes on this, and then I would love to hear feedback continuously throughout the year on how, if this right-of-way issue is a huge negative thing, just keep telling me so that I know, and then we can modify if it needs to be modified.
So one of the things I looked at is our code just on parking, and there's a section here that says, the stopping, standing, or parking of any commercial vehicle, motorhome, trailer, or other object greater than 18 feet in length is prohibited between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. on those portions of cities right away lying along and adjacent to property classified as a residential land use by the city's comprehensive plan. Offending vehicles or other objects may be removed by the city and stored at the owner's expense. So reading that and then thinking, what is the reason not to park in a public right-of-way on your own property? And I think the main reason is, the only one I can think of is if there's a water leak. Let's say it happens in the middle of the night and it's an emergency and they got to move that vehicle. What other reasons would there be? I don't know. I'm asking, I guess. Do you guys know of any other reason why it would be a safety, security thing?
I've personally seen where there's a house being built and they're locating things and they're cutting the road and getting into the right of way into yards. So I've seen that because there was 2 homes built across the street from me and 2 homes built behind me in the last 2 years. But I wouldn't know other than the right of way is, there for the city to access and public safety for the triangle site, So that's, I just wanted to make sure that before we vote, we get it out there so the people hear what we're bouncing around, that we've given this a lot of thought and where we're going with it, and what we set forth today. If it's not the best formula, we'll revisit it as soon as possible. To echo what Commissioner Peoples said.
That's my worry too, is overload or complicate how code enforcement does their job.
I already know that we will, because there's 300 violations right now when we vote this in.
I guess one thing,
300 RVs in driveways, whether they're in the right of way or not, has to be determined.
I think one thing I want to add, since there's probably a lot of people here that were not here last time, is that the conversation we had is that it's not as cut and dry as this is where the public right of way is. There is no straight up, this is where the right of way could be in different spots depending on the property, which will require help me out here, I'm drawing a blank. Survey, there we go. A survey would have to be done to figure out where the actual right-of-way is, which costs money to the city. And so if someone was to get cited and then they wanted to fight back on it, then the city would have to pay for that survey, which could result in excessive amount of man hours and money. So that might not have been something we had initially considered. So I just wanted to give everyone a heads up that that's why we're talking about the right of way. It's not as simple as, well, just look at your right of way and don't park there. Well, most people don't know where the actual right-of-way is. In fact, I've had neighbors that didn't know where their right-of-way was, and I've had to talk to them about it. And be like, and even then, as I was told last time, that even the Bay County property appraiser doesn't have it 100% right. So that's kind of why we're having this conversation. I want property rights for everybody, but we got to also make sure that the solution is the best solution possible. And if that's costing the city tons of man hours, we just got to, I guess, massage this to where it's right. I'm in favor of taking as is, and then if it is a burden, then we adjust as needed. That's just, I just wanted to put that out there.
Sam, I would like to think that anybody who has water gushing out of their driveway or up in their yard, they'd be happy to move their vehicle so the city could get to it. I mean, I would think, everybody would like to cooperate, not just for the sake of moving it, but if there's an issue in the right of way, I would think all we have to do is knock on the door and ask them.
That's a moot point. I mean, that would happen regardless. I think any citizen would to help you because it's happening at their place. But we're talking about the actual length of the motorhome being, if the actual body of the vehicle is in the right of way, then it can't be there. So that's where the violation comes in. So that's going to be the line in the sand is going to be the burden to prove that is on the city. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna find, because we have to go out and address now all the code enforcement issues that are there. So there's going to be a lot of work involved right off the bat. But I just want to make sure we talked about it before we voted again, just so we can rehash and get it out there to everybody what we're thinking. And I think if anybody does make a motion, I would just, I I would advise, I mean, Commissioner Peebles, if you made the motion, you could add the caveat of let's revisit it, if there is an issue, if would that be okay? Or do we have to just plain old vote?
You can build in a sunset provision so that this ordinance will be effective immediately and expire in 1 year or in 3 years if you want to force the issue. If it will require you, if you don't want it to sunset, to bring it back and adopt it permanently into your code or to make changes before you do that.
Can I ask one more question? Whatever brought this on anyway? Something must have happened. What caused the commission to make this an issue all of a
Code
sudden?
enforcement brought it forth because of the number of RVs in driveways right now. And I believe the code is that they have to be in the backyard.
Yes.
In code is they have to be in the backyard.
Yeah, they couldn't have it in their front yard at all. And ever since Hurricane Michael, a lot
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
migrated
So, I mean,
over.
we're trying to make the code, so we added side yard and we added driveway, but not to impede the right of way. So we're trying to make the steps to make it, to give the liberty to the resident,
I know we're going to be talking about sheds in the backyard, so there can't be room for everything back there.
Oh, yeah, we're talking accessory, yeah.
I know I looked at a lot of other cities and trying to see if they quantified it all, and I couldn't find
All over the
any.
board, I bet.
They all always seem to use the right-of-way term for it. I know I think the big complaint is sidewalks. They're worried that, if someone's parked in the sidewalk, you can't get it, especially if someone's
And
handicapped.
these vehicles are 35, 40 feet,
Right.
so.
That's where we're getting most of our complaints, when, mothers walking their kids, they would have to go out and go into the street to go around that RV. And so that was what was initiating sitting out code enforcement, because they were in the, past the sidewalks.
Right.
And people walking on the sidewalks could not walk, and the line of sight that was happening as well. Those were our biggest complaints.
All right, is there a motion for this?
I'll motion to approve and that we revisit it in a year.
I'd second that.
All right, comments from the public? Mr. Scray?
I'm curious if policy number 94 for the utility right-of-way, if that measurement applies to the right-of-way in this case. Do you guys know what that policy number 94 right-of-way measurement is? If you want, you can ask Chris or Bobby. They should know it. Go ahead and ask.
Mr. Scray, what's your question again?
No, I want you guys to be educated on what you're passing. You're not ready to pass this. So is
so what's
policy
your-
number
what's your
94
question?
Is policy number 94's utility measurement applicable in this situation, that you could use that as a reference and mitigate these issues of water main breaks? Yes or no?
Chris?
Is policy number 94, which is listed on the city website, an adequate measurement for them to use of city right-of-way to prevent the issue of having RVs in the right-of-way for the utility infringement? On the city website, it says the first 10 feet from the edge of existing paved roads, or the first 22 feet from the center line of existing right-of-ways within the city limits will be used for city utilities only. Is that adequate to cover most of these obstructions? Shook your head no?
Yeah, we discussed measurements before.
Right.
And it was stated that we couldn't use a particular number because it could be different.
So you're not
various
ready to pass this, because what you're going to do is you're going to have a list of properties that are going to be disputed, and you're going to rack up money doing surveys, because every property that's going to be possibly affected by this, you're going to have to go do surveys for all of those properties. What is it, around 300? What is the cost of that? Are you guys ready to take on that cost?
You're going in the right direction. You're just not to the solution yet, and you're itching to get it approved, but you're not there yet. With a little bit of time, 2-3 more meetings, you could work it out. I know you guys can only talk during your pre-commission meetings and these meetings, so you're limited, but take the time and get to an actual solution, not half of a solution. Because I can tell you, if you approve it, you're going to be doing surveys on 300 properties.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, you are, because I'm going to submit a list of every property that has an RV on it, so you have to.
Additional public commentary. All right, Mr. Langford, and then my guy here.
I didn't understand why the amount of feet off of the center line or the edge of the pavement won't work.
Well, we've mentioned that before. What happens is that it may be 22 feet for someone, but then it may be a different, as Chris explained it to us before. Could you come, Chris, and explain why we did not do a particular measurement for the feet off of the roadway?
So because there's no accurate footage for every location. For example, today we were looking at a sewer tie-in that has to be done. And on one side of the road, the sewer force main was like 6 feet off edge of pavement. But as it crossed the intersection, it was like 1.5 feet off edge of pavement there. So if you look, the road skewed in a plat, or the road could have shifted, or it may not necessarily be in the center. So if we live across from each other, but the road's not centered, then I may have 20 feet and you may have 40 feet. That's where the measurement comes in.
So that kind of explains it. Now, so I guess the thing that you all have to do is split these two problem sets, right? We've got a problem set with a water main or a sewer breaking and an RV parked over it. And we've got a problem set of women and children and fathers having to walk around an RV that's parked in a sidewalk. Is there a standard amount of feet that a sidewalk would be built from the edge of the road? I guess would be my first question. And if so, what is that amount? I would marry that distance to compensate for the sidewalk. I don't think you can standardize a number to a non-standardized infrastructure, if that makes sense. So if our infrastructure is not standardized, you can never standardize a process to ensure that an RV is never parked on either a sewer or water main. So therein lies those two problem sets, right? I don't think the sewer and the water main issue problem set can be solved because it's non-standard. You can, however, solve the issue with an RV being parked over a sidewalk and requiring people to walk around that end of the street. And that makes complete sense to do that. So I would encourage you all to maybe kind of break out those problem sets and address them that way.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
It is good to see you back. An input on this, I'm an RV owner. And I'm trying to be as least coarse as I can. I have a tendency to be coarse. I don't want you in my business. I guess that's the least coarse I can be. I paid to put the concrete down to the city. I pay every year so it doesn't flood us because of the concrete I got. And now you're going to take away the use of the concrete? I think you may lose some money from the takeaway privilege also. Now, if it's blocking a sidewalk, that's a no-brainer. It's got to go. I also see, if we're not careful, bloating up government here. I see a new agency with cars and secretaries and helicopters and grants to go around, and you already know how many motorhomes are out there. Who the hell been doing this? Somebody paid them. I think you got your hands full running the city. I think if you get your hands more than full and make generically me, fight everything you do, we don't get anywhere. But I think the best thing I've heard so far is to vote yes on it. If you want to put feet to it, yeah, if you see motorhomes over dangerous things, they got to be moved. They got to be moved. Don't come move mine without my knowledge. Don't plunder in my life. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Additional public commentary? Yes, sir.
All right. Sorry. Y'all are making a mountain out of a molehill here. I agree with Sam. Pass the ordinance. If you got problems, readdress it later. I mean, y'all got a solution right now. If it doesn't work, great. Come back and address it. But quit making up some scenarios that may never occur and wasting everybody's time doing it. Just pass this thing and be done with it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
For property rights, I wouldn't want anybody telling me what to do with my property either, but you live in a neighborhood and we have codes. I mean, if it was up to me, I'd have a few goats and a bunch of chickens and maybe a little cow and a pig, but we don't because there's codes against that and the neighbors wouldn't like that, right? Well, there are neighbors who don't like RVs blocking multiple areas, blocking their view, blocking the sidewalk. You can't say that it's a no-brainer to move an RV that's blocking a sidewalk if I've been complaining for 9 months and it's never moved. So there's no enforcement that I can see. I don't get any transparency when I make a complaint. I've got plenty of complaints out there. I've been complaining on some of them for 9 months. They're still there. So I've got no problem with property rights. If you have an RV, that's fine. These huge RVs that, go from the front of the shed or the garage to the sidewalk is way too much. And there's a lot of them where I live. They weren't there before COVID. I have a feeling it was enforced. It's not enforced. It's an enforcement problem. People who have RVs, it's $100, maybe $150 to store your RV a month. I take my family of four to dinner once a month for that. It's cheap to store an RV, to store a boat. If you want to be stubborn about it, that's fine. But it makes the city look trashy. 300 is going to turn into 600 if this passes. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Additional public commentary? All right, City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Would you second it? Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
No.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passes. Public hearing closes at 6:27 p.m. Discussion only of the comprehensive plan. Just want to mention that if you have questions about it, please send those to the city manager so that we can bring those to commission and get those to staff so we can discuss those questions in regards to that. I do know we received the email earlier that had the updated comprehensive plan in it. And so please review that. And hopefully next meeting we'll be able to begin to discuss some of those policies that are therein. Also, with the ULDC, if there's a particular area of the ULDC that you would like to discuss, please submit that to the city manager as well. And then we can start bringing that to commission meeting also. But if you'll get that to the city manager, the ULDC. And of course, we are discussing issues in the ULDC tonight with the various codes we're talking about. But if you get that to the city manager, and then we can bring that to the agenda also. Also, we have the first reading only of Ordinance 1180, amending the city's code of ordinances relating to peddling permits. City manager, if you read that by title only, please.
Sure. Ordinance number 1180, an ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending the city's code of ordinances related to peddling permits, revising and clarifying the elements required on the application and permit, providing for expiration of permits annually on December 31st, amending the process for appeals, providing for administration by the police department, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, and providing an immediately effective date.
All right, thank you. Any comments, City Attorney?
Yes, sir. This ordinance, it's been several months since you considered it, but it does try to streamline the application requirements and the supporting documentation that is required of an applicant. We've tried to address some of the recurring problems that staff is seeing regarding confusion over whether it's the business or the person who needs to provide some of this documentation. So we have attempted to clarify that. The two biggest changes I want to point out are the duration of the permit. For all permits issued after the effective date of this ordinance, the goal is to have them expire on December 31st of each year. So that every year, if you're going to be peddling, you'll have to come back. Although, because we have streamlined the process, you won't have to do fingerprints every year once you've done that. We've also required, or we've changed the appeal process so that any appeals for the revocation or denial of a permit does not come to the commission, but to a special magistrate, which is consistent with some of the amendments we've made in other chapters.
All right, any questions, comments on this? All right, moving on to first reading of ordinance 1181, amending the code dealing with accessory structures. City Manager, if you read that by title, please.
Ordinance 1181, an ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven amending Unified Development Code relating to accessory structures, amending the definition of accessory structure to include portable storage units, regulating the use and placement of portable storage units in front yards, requiring permanent accessory structures to be anchored, providing for enforcement, providing for severability of provisions, repealing all ordinances and here conflict herewith, and providing for an effective date.
City Attorney.
The discussion you had several months ago was regarding accessory structures generally. This proposed ordinance is focused almost entirely on portable storage units as a temporary accessory use and allows them to be located in front yards under certain conditions for certain periods of time in certain locations. What this ordinance does not do, if you still want to address it, you still have time, and I would invite you to give us some direction on that. It does not limit the size of portable storage units that may be located in the front yard.
All right. Commissioner Ward.
So one of the things I read that, I don't know if I'm just reading it wrong or it just seems to conflict, is you read the first section, the way I read it is you can have one of the storage units in your backyard as long as it's strapped down and it's not over a certain amount of pervious area. But then you go to part B2 and it says no residential premises shall continuously contain a portable storage unit in excess of 10 days in any 60-day period. Should that say that front yard only?
A portable storage unit is intended to be temporary by its definition. So if you want to have a portable storage unit that is intended to be permanent, it will have to be anchored, yes.
So the first part says you can have a portable storage unit in your backyard, right?
Yeah, section 2 is for all accessory structures you may have, and they're currently permitted in backyards.
And included in the definition of accessory structures, portable storage units.
Yes.
So the way I read the first section is you can have one in your backyard, but then when you go to section 3B2, it makes it sound like you can't have one. You see what I'm saying?
It's meant to clarify that you can, in fact, have one in your front yard that's temporary.
Okay. So you can, all right. I just want to make sure I read that right. Okay. Thank you.
All right, and we did receive some questions from Mr. Keel. We'll make sure that all the commissioners get these questions, and then we'll be able to address those at our next upcoming meeting, okay? All right. You got one? Okay. All right. Meeting adjourned.